This is the Carty Method Podcast.
Hey, today we're talking about lifestyle photography. And lifestyle photography is super interesting and unique. It's simple. It's photographing people, places, or things, but in a realistic but somewhat stylized way. The whole key thing about lifestyle photography is it's hardly new, but the lifestyle photography look has penetrated editorial, advertising, and commercial work. Today, I'm going to show you 5 lifestyle photographers or 5 photographers who have transferred their love for photography and added lifestyle. They've added lifestyle work, and that combination of their love for photography creating lifestyle, that those two things together have absolutely exploded these photographers' careers. So you guys know me. I'm Carty, by the way. I'm a 35-year pro photographer. I've been a pro since 1990, which that doesn't date me, bro. That just means that I've been doing this maybe longer than you've been alive. And if not, I definitely am hoping, like I'm 55. So I've been doing this since I was 20, professionally. That's when I quit photography school, and I started photography when I was 14. So let me talk just a little bit about how I found lifestyle photography. I started as a fashion photographer. My goal always from age 17, when I saw Vogue for the first time, I knew I wanted to be a fashion photographer, and I spent a very large majority of the beginnings of my career being a fashion photographer only. When I showed my portfolio for the first time to the Globe and Mail when I was 23 years old, the art director Michael Gregg said something profound. He said, first of all, I showed him my fashion portfolio, and he said, "Carty, this is one of the best fashion portfolios I've ever seen. Here, shoot this." And I looked, and it was a portrait. And I was like, okay. So I went and I photographed this writer. He ended up being a massive science fiction writer. Photographed this gentleman, brought the photo back. Art director was like, cool, shoot this one. And I looked, and it was another portrait. And I said to Michael, Michael, I'm a fashion photographer, right? And he said, any hack with a camera can photograph beautiful people in beautiful locations with beautiful hair, makeup, styling. It takes a real photographer to photograph everybody else. What kind of a photographer are you? And that, for me, started portraits. And I added portraits to my portfolio. I added portraits to the type of work that I did. But again, in a way that fit my sensibility. Now, lifestyle photography is what we're talking about today. Lifestyle photography is photographing people, places, or things in a stylized but realistic way. And that look and feel is something that has penetrated every niche, every industry. So how do you photograph lifestyle? Well, it's like you have to have a high technical understanding, but at the same point, you have to know how to shoot loose. And new photographers often start with being very technical, being very much about the technical side. But once you learn that, you have to forget it so you can work on being loose. And again, I've curated some incredible photographers to show you today that really, I feel like, have mastered lifestyle photography in a way that you need to see so you can kind of lock this in as a way that you can approach photography. So I've also worked hard on putting together a nice blend of different photography styles. We're going to start with a photographer who I've been watching her for, I'm going to say almost 20 years. I'm going to say 20 years. Her name is Candace Meyer. And Candace Meyer, I wouldn't call her necessarily a fashion photographer, but I want you to look at her work as a style, as a lifestyle photographer. And again, I'll remind you, regular people doing regular things photographed in a stylized way. And her use of black and white, her poses, there's a push of sexuality. I love her use of water in this particular story, but the point that I'm trying to make when it comes to this photographer and her approach to lifestyle photography, you have to see how her poses and just the vibe of her work feels loose. And that looseness, I think, is very necessary for photographers, contemporary photographers, you. I think it's very important for you to adopt a little bit of looseness when it comes to making photographs. And starting with a female photographer, because I truly believe that there's not enough female photographers in the industry working at this high level, a level high enough that you get hired. Candace Meyer, this is a Canadian photographer. She was from, I believe she's from BC, but then moved to California. Hey, Mr. XX with the membership. Let's go. Gifting a member. Jordan is so upset. He's crying. He's crying. Thank you, Mr. XX. Thank you for the gifted. So you can see Candace Meyer, her use of light, and I'm going to say it again, her use of light, like this prism, her ideas, technically very strong, but also allows her subjects to be loose. And that adds this new dimension, and this new dimension that I'm calling lifestyle photography, because I really believe that lifestyle photography is something that I'm hoping that today you lock in, and the poses and the feels. All right. So Candace Meyer, let's see if there's any more frames from her. Again, it's such a beautiful, relaxing, easy sensibility. I think that this photographer gets it. Her work is not perfect, but it's perfectly imperfect is what I would say. She really, from my perspective as a photographer, she really gets it. Like she gets it. She gets the posing. She gets this understated, like not taking herself so seriously. She gets it. And I really enjoy looking at this photographer's work. Her name, again, is Candace Meyer. I will post all of these photographers in chat, actually in, oh my goodness. And you can see her work goes from very high fashion to very loose and relaxed. And I again, I really love this about her portfolio. I've been watching her for literally 20 years. Candice Meyer, lifestyle fashion photographer. And again, even if you're not maybe interested in fashion per se, some of the other photographers that I'm going to show you today are really going to inspire you to stay within this lifestyle sensibility. All right, Candice Meyer, first one. Appreciate that. All right. Garvey Carty, let's get it on. Appreciate you. All right, next. This photographer has a little bit of a different sensibility. His name's Pascal Shirley. And Pascal Shirley, again, a lifestyle, but a lifestyle travel photographer with a very unique, somewhat raw, but technically like quite perfect photography. He makes, like, he really understands light. He really understands exposure. He really understands shooting editorial for magazines, but he also knows how to be loose. He also knows how to mix in personal work with his commercial work. He has a love for architecture. And Pascal Shirley is a photographer. I've been watching Pascal maybe for 5 years. He has several portfolios. This is his main. And his work almost has a feeling of street photography. But the way that he mixes in architecture, the way that he mixes in location portraits, it really makes it go beyond just what you would call street photography. Let me show you some of his other portfolios. So, his travel work is brilliant, and this was, I believe, one of the first portfolios that I saw from him in Kyoto. Like, his use of filters, like, this was just, again, it's lo-fi high fidelity. And as a lifestyle photographer, again, for me, I think it's important for you to look at this type of work that just, the way that I say it, I feel like it unlocks you a little bit and it gives you permission to be loose. But mixing this work in with his commercial work is the thing that for me is amazing. Let me show you some food and beverage, which he shoots and makes a lot of commerce from this type of food and beverage work. You can see he has a very nice sensibility. He's a very nice touch with this type of work, and obviously is doing this for tons of commercial clients. How his lifestyle work works so well commercially, I just think that it's brilliant. And there is a way to do it. There is a way to like tune in. This gentleman has, like, I would classify him as someone who isn't specifically niched, but his niche is lifestyle. And because his niche is lifestyle and the way that he shoots, it allows him to have a wider niche. And that wider niche really seems to work for Pascal Shirley. This is his food and beverage, which personally I think he does so well. Food and beverage lifestyle. Like, what a brilliant niche. Food and beverage lifestyle. Again, if you can lock this in and understand how to capture this kind of just real people eating a real, but it's so stylized and perfect. This is Pascal Shirley. And again, a good ad, a good shooter for you to see, and a good photographer, a really, truly an exceptional photographer for you to have on your radar. As far as lifestyle, he's got many, many, many different categories. His work is fun to look at. There's no other way to describe his work. He has a really, really free way of shooting. Like, he shoots free, like from the hip at times, but he also knows how to be technically proficient. I like this shooter. This is Pascal Shirley, and the second shooter that I'm showing you today. Hope you're enjoying. And again, I hope you're enjoying the work that I've curated for you today. The next photographer, this photographer is so important to me for so many reasons. For the first reason, I went to photography school with this photographer. We went to Ryerson. And Ryerson is now called, I'm from Toronto, Canada. Bryce is from Vancouver. He came to Toronto to go to this school because, again, it's the best photography school in the country. 2,500 people applied. 75 got in. Of the 2,500 that applied, literally 75 got in. And of the 75 that got in, there's 3 of us that are photographers, me, Bryce, and Michael Alberstadt. So Bryce Duffy was the photographer that, my love for fashion, Bryce was always the guy who was pushing me to shoot portraits. Yes, Michael Gregg from the Globe and Mail, and any hack with a camera can shoot models. Takes a real photographer to shoot everyone else. Bryce Duffy worked for Michael Gregg for 2 years before I did, and Bryce was a prolific portrait photographer. The way that he shoots and the way that this shooter mixes in his subject matter just makes his sensibility really lovely. He is a lifestyle photographer in the truest sense of the word, and as well an outdoor adventure photographer. He loves aerials, which he literally is doing with a helicopter. He rents helicopters and does these insane aerials that he shoots with his digital Hasselblad. Bryce Duffy is going to break your brain. Your Apple computer that has like those beautiful like desktops, Bryce Duffy shot those. Bryce Duffy shot those for Apple. So Bryce moved to Malibu. He's lived in Malibu for over 20 years now, and he's just prolific. And as far as lifestyle photography, prolific. As far as portrait photography, he gets it. And the way that he curates his portfolio, it always is like beautiful to look at. He does a ton of celebrity work and a ton of massive massive celebrity, massive advertising, massive editorial. Like, his celebrity work is profound. So but lifestyle, but loose, like shot in a loose, understated, fun, non-pretentious way, which I think this is something that this is hard for photographers to nail, because they overpose, they overstyle, they overdo everything. So lifestyle photography from a photographer who is exactly the same age as me. I think he's actually like 6 months older or, a year older than me. But I've known Bryce since I was 19 years old. And again, prolific lifestyle photographer, very tight in his niche, very loose, fun, and technically incredibly good. Incredibly good. This is Bryce Duffy. Again, another lifestyle photographer that you really need to have on your radar. And you really need to look at just these different perspectives and these different ways that portfolios can be put together. Bryce Duffy. Again, advertising, Nike. So smart. So smart. Studio work. So again, there's a feeling when it comes to lifestyle photography. There's a feeling. And that feeling is what I'm trying to get through today. That feeling of lifestyle, what that is, like what it looks like. Lifestyle photography is like the most important niche that you need to learn how to shoot like right now. And it's not about trying to be perfect, although understanding light, understanding composition, juxtaposition is all very important. The thing that I want you to take away today is being funny, being satirical, being like taking the piss out of yourself a little. This next photographer I'm showing you is Chris Buck. And Chris Buck is a Toronto photographer that started his bones by shooting for Now magazine. And then he moved to New York and quickly took over an editorial advertising celebrity look and feel because his ideas are so non-linear as far as somebody who shoots celebrities for a living. So Chris Buck and lifestyle photography, the way that Chris Buck shoots his portraits and the way that he shoots lifestyle, the way that he uses natural environments to add something that's just a little bit more special than a typical portrait. Chris Buck is that guy all day. So I'm looking right now with you at his main portfolio, but you can see how this main portfolio just becomes really interesting to look at because he treats locations differently. He sees locations differently, and he executes with his subjects in locations differently. And this is what you need to see. And I'm hoping this is going to give you permission to be looser. That says Nikes. I hope this gives you permission to be a little bit looser and to see photography in a little bit of a different way. Now, I'm going to show you some of Chris Buck's commissions, and seeing it in magazine. So you can see how much this actually applies to commercial work and how much commercial work actually comes from understanding how to be loose and fun with your photography. Like I bill out 10K a day. You know that Chris Buck is billing out at 20 or 30K a day to shoot advertising. So Chris Buck and some commercial advertising. People fall in love with his portfolio and his sensibility and his use of locations. And again, you can see celebrity incorporated in with his advertising. So for me, the highest frequency of photography is print. So learning how to shoot in such a way that magazines want to publish your work. So advertising agencies want to do spreads of your work. Like really, really, really strong ideas, art-directed ideas, and also self-directed ideas is how you make a living as a commercial photographer, as a lifestyle photographer. And you're seeing here how this shooter's work just works. And again, you're not going to love everything. You're not going to be like, you're not going to fall in love with absolutely every one of his pieces and every one of his commercial projects. But that's why you get to be a photographer, and you get to execute your own ideas and your own versions of your ideas. But it's so good to see commercial work that works, commercial work that gets hired, and portfolios that are good enough that get you hired to shoot Mr. Beast for Time magazine. Kendrick Lamar for mass appeal. Again, advertising. That is Chris Buck, and just seeing how prolific his commercial work is and how deep it goes. Like once you unlock this feeling, you can see like Russell Brand for Bloomberg. Like he gets now these massive projects based on a loose lifestyle-y portfolio that he pushes his subjects to do hard, funny, and cool things. It just means work. So it's better to be loose, not tight when it comes to your photography. Again, and just how important lifestyle photography is. You guys with me still? You with me? So you guys know the next round of my Professional Photographers Accelerator, it starts on September the 28th. Applications are open right now. All you need to do is go to thecartymethod.com/accelerator. Watch the info session that I did recently. Phase 0 is your application. If you watch the info session, I'll give you phase 0 for gratis. And you have it literally 7 days, a week, to get phase 0 in so you can get into the next round of this accelerator. One of my accelerator members who's in my current round is doing $8K a month on retainer from learning what I've taught him in phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I describe it as seeing the matrix. Once you see the matrix, it unlocks all the things that you need to be doing week by week, month by month. And in 18 weeks, which is like 3 months, I help you, like literally just over 3 months, I help you figure out exactly what you should be doing day by day, week by week. I help you build from your portfolio to client acquisition to outward reach. It's so important. It's how I run my business. I'd love to see you in there. All you need to do is go to thecartymethod.com/accelerator and watch the info session and do phase 0 and submit it. All right. Guys, next photographer that we were talking about today, that was Chris Buck. And as promised, I will put all the links for the photographers that I'm sharing with you today in my show notes. I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Deadliest Catch. The Deadliest Catch was a show on Discovery Network where they went to the Bering Sea and fished for crab, like like crab fishing on the Bering Sea. And people died. Like, it was the most insane show, because like you'd watch a show and like they'd be filming, and then like the boat and like all the film crew would like go down, and like everyone would die, and it would be like, this is a TV show, The Deadliest Catch. It was absolutely insane. This photographer, his name is Corey Arnold. Corey Arnold was the official photographer for Discovery Channel for The Deadliest Catch. And he would be on boat and on other boats documenting the life that these like fishermen who lived in, literally most of them lived in Seattle, and then they would come up to Alaska during the season and they would fish Bering Sea crab. And this photographer shot lifestyle. His name is Corey Arnold. He shot some absolute insane lifestyle work from the boat, and as I said earlier, from other boats. It's very difficult to get this type of photography, but this man documented what was happening from a photography perspective, from a still one frame at a time perspective. And of course there was a television show to give you all the drama, but seeing it this way, and seeing photography this way, that's so raw, but also well lit, well composed, it's in focus, it's compositionally sound, and it's interesting, and it's scary to look like. Scary, like that's the part that it's just, yeah, this is Corey Arnold. And I learned about him because I was a huge fan of The Deadliest Catch, and I saw his images and his name in the credits. And he would also shoot the ads and the like movie posters that they would use for The Deadliest Catch. So, but obviously he does so much more work than just this. Although I click another thumbnail and it's more fish. Let's find you something else. Human animals. So he's an editorial photographer, and he's a lifestyle photographer, and he has a very interesting sensibility and idea and approach to the way that he makes images. And again, I'm going to remind you, this whole story is called Human Animals, and it's about humans and their animals. And it's like, this is an editorial story that you can see how this would go in a magazine. You can see how this is personal work. You can see how this could be an exhibit. But Corey Arnold, lifestyle photography. And lifestyle photography is what we're locking into today. These are all shooters that I truly want you to have on your radar. There goes your nuts. Corey Arnold. Again, this guy is so good. I so enjoy looking at this guy's photographs. And it's the kind of photographs that we're trying to make. You know, we're trying to make photographs that people really enjoy, like deep diving on. And yeah, sometimes we get in our head, you know, and I like trying to help you get out of your head. So I promised I was going to show you 5 photographers, and I've shown you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photographers, but I can't let it go there. I have 3 more photographers that I really want you to know about. The first photographer, New York born Kareem Black. Kareem Black, he's one of my most important photographers, like one of the photographers that you need to know. He needs to be on your radar. He's got a very, very interesting sensibility. He shoots and shot like during 2008, during a very bad economic time. He just started going out and shooting his friends when he's out drinking and at parties. And his agents asked or suggested that he turn that work into a portfolio, which they did. And that has now turned this guy into one of the busiest photographers in New York. I'm showing you Mr. Kareem Black. Let me show you some of his commissions and the type of the type of celebrities that Kareem Black shoots in a very loose lifestyle way. Like, it just, and advertising, the way that he shoots advertising now in a super loose way that gets him paid. Like this, I wish his portfolio was laid out, this particular part of his portfolio was laid out in a bit of a different way. But you can see, like, that same photographer that you're seeing really loose, look at him shooting for major brands, major ads, major POP, major magazine editorial. And again, there's a feeling to his work. There's a look and feel that's that it's approachable. So this is the other thing that I'm trying to help you lock in. Like, there's a way to shoot that's super loose, but there's also a way to shoot that's quite lit and quite perfect and quite, like, technically amazing. But you can mix that amazing, perfect light with a different kind of a pose than typical. And again, I really appreciate Kareem Black because his sensibility is just, he just shoots loose, and he shoots some of the biggest celebrities, like, on TV. He shoots some of the biggest magazine editorial for some of the biggest magazines. This is Jersey Shore. He shot all the campaign for Jersey Shore. Tracy Morgan, love it. So again, you can see this guy does massive commercial work, but it's loose, and learning how to shoot this, for me, as I'll say again, it's like an imperative. It's an imperative way that your career could change overnight. Just learning how to shoot like perfectly lit, but just a little bit looser with the poses, just a little bit more lifestyle. All right, that is Kareem Black. I just love this guy. And again, a really, like, this guy's right here for me. I show you, I don't have emotional attachment to my photographs, but I have emotional attachment to photographers. I have emotional attachment to photographers. Once I'm following someone, like, I'm just watching them succeed, you know? This next photographer, I'm sure you guys have heard of a photographer I never talk about, never share, never profile. Well, her, after she left Rolling Stone to go on to shoot for Vanity Fair, this photographer, who was, like, not the chief, but he became the chief photographer for Rolling Stone after this photographer that I never say her name left. This photographer is Mark Seliger. And Mark Seliger, this guy is one of the most prolific photographers of our age. I love this guy so much. He has such an incredible, easy sensibility. Primarily a film photographer, but shot for Rolling Stone and I mean, to this day, if Rolling Stone is still around, this guy is shooting for him. He's always had a vibe, and he's made some of the most important pictures of like the last 30 years. Like, Mark Seliger has made some of the most important pictures. Kurt Cobain, like the last photograph of Kurt Cobain, like before he died. So, like, is he a lifestyle photographer? Well, yes, because of the way that he shot. He never shot in a traditional way. He always let his subjects just be loose and badass. And because of that, he created this body of work that is one of the most famous bodies of work that like has ever been put together. Mark Seliger, just prolific. Drew Barrymore, prolific. And yes, lifestyle. Yes, because of the way that he shoots, and the way that he poses, and the way that he lets his subjects just be radical. Mark Seliger. I'm sure you've seen this picture of Watkin. Of course you have. Of course you've seen this picture of Johnny Depp. But again, the way that he shoots these subjects makes his portraits feel lifestyle. And they're so important. This is one of the most important photographers of our generation. So Mark Seliger as a lifestyle. And although he is a portrait photographer, do not get it twisted. The way in which he shoots, the moments in which he chooses to capture makes him loose enough. Just makes him just right. So Mark Seliger. I have one more photographer to share with you. One more photographer. I just need you to soak in Mark Seliger just a little bit more. I have one more photographer for you. And I thought it'd be great to start today with a female photographer and end today with a female photographer. One of my favorites, Jill Greenberg. Jill Greenberg is prolific. Prolific is an understatement when it comes to this photographer. From Canada, born in Vancouver, lives in LA via New York. She shoots everything in a way that's likable, believable, and funny. I just really like Jill Greenberg. I like her ideas. I like her sensibility. And you've seen her pictures. You've seen her photographs, but you didn't know it was Jill Greenberg. You didn't know who was the photographer. You didn't know that Jill Greenberg shot The Handmaid's Tale. And you didn't know that Jill Greenberg shot all the key work for Orange is the New Black. Like, you didn't know that she shoots this much advertising. But it's so important to look at her lifestyle sensibility and her ideas and how she pushes the envelope commercially, but at the same point, it's because her ideas are so raw. Let me show you her actual lifestyle category, because there's so much Jill Greenberg here. I hope that you will just on your own look through Jill Greenberg's portfolio because it runs so deep. Lifestyle. This is what I want to show you. And the way that she shoots lifestyle. And again, the way that this work fits in with other work, the way that she incorporates children, the way that she uses light and mood. There's a feeling here. There's a likability here. There's a professionalism, but there's a looseness, and there's a love for photography. Like, you really see her love for the craft of photography when you look at her photographs, especially her lifestyle photographs, and how this type of work, so loose, fits in with the rest of her sensibility. It's important. It's important to know that it's okay to show aspects of your life and mix those aspects of your life in with commercial work. It's okay to show photographs of your children, but you have to photograph them in a way that is as if it fits within your sensibility. It matches your look and feel. This is just some of Jill Greenberg's, what she calls lifestyle work, but personally, there's so much work from her that could be classified as lifestyle. There's much, and please dive in and look at the wonder that is Jill Greenberg. She's prolific, like prolific in the best way. Please look at Jill Greenberg. She'll honestly, I believe, like, she'll make you a better photographer if you just soak in some of her ideas and some of her executions. Again, a great one to end on. I showed you, I think, 8 lifestyle photographers, and I hope I explained to you reasons why lifestyle photography is so important, reasons why you need to maybe add some lifestyle photography to your work. And I look at my own work, and I think, yeah, I could actually go looser. I could actually incorporate even more lifestyle moments in my work. Because if you look at my my commissions, like there's lots of lifestyle instances here, and I miss it. And I really feel like it makes me a stronger, better photographer. So I'm definitely, I did this episode and chose these photographers as inspiration, not just for you, but inspiration for me as well. It's necessary. It keeps you sharp, and I believe it's the next thing that your photography might be missing. I hope today brought you value. Honestly, I'm going to share these 8 photographers if you're watching this after the fact. I'm interested in hearing what your favorite photographer was that I shared. And I'm interested if you're thinking about adding lifestyle to whatever niche that you're shooting. If you do street photography, and a lot of photographers do street photography and think that that's a route to making a living, you're not really going to make money from street photography. But if you learn how to curb and just reframe street photography into lifestyle photography, if you interact with people and ask them for permission to shoot them in, like, then now you could become Scott Schumann, who is the sartorialist. Scott, let me just type the sartorialist. Scott Schumann. Like, Scott Schumann built an entire, like, this guy shoots for Vogue now. Because his street photography, all he cared about was fashion. So he would do street photography and shoot fashion and ask, would it be okay if I could take your picture? So he would ask, and then he would shoot a portrait, and then he would compliment them. I love your look. I love your fit. I love your outfit. And he knows labels. He knows Dior and Givenchy and Gucci. Like, he's a fashion addict. So that's all he shot is this. And his street photography quickly got, and he did a vlog. He did a blog every day of like 1 to 3 posts of like the fashion looks that he saw that day. Now, when you look at Scott Schumann, like if you look at like booking him, my goodness, like I don't know if he has, like, his website's not really categorized very well, but like he shoots for Vogue. Like, he shoots for Harper's Bazaar. He shoots for Elle. He shoots for, like, every major magazine he shoots for. And he shoots advertising because these brands want their clothes to look as if someone bought it and is just walking down the street. So he had, like, this is reality, but stylized reality, but still reality. Like, this man has made this collection and this body of work. Like, Scott Schumann, the sartorialist in fashion, is a household name. And he started as a street photographer, but not as a street photographer, as someone who was shooting fashion in the street. And that one difference from shooting street photography to shooting fashion in the street turned this photographer into a household name. So you can't just do street photography. It's not good enough anymore. But I'm not saying you can't do street photography. I'm just saying you have to do it in a new way. You have to have a take. You need to be looking for something very specific, something fleeting. And and then putting that whole body of work together. Again, untrained photographer, bought a 5D and an 85 millimeter lens and just started shooting street. So I hope today brought you value. Again, I am starting my next round of my Pro Accelerator. It starts on the 28th of September. All you need to do is go to the Carty Method thecartymethod.com/accelerator, watch my info session, download phase 0. I'll give it to you at no cost. Finish that, send a PDF in, and we'll see if you qualify. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope it brought you value.
This commercial-free live stream was brought to you by the members of this channel. If it wasn't for you, we'd have to fill up these live streams with ads that would just interrupt the flow. The members of this channel make commercial-free content during these live streams possible. Consider becoming a member for $5 a month today to gain access to secret live streams, live chats, and to show your support with that crown badge next to your name. Sharing is caring. If this content has brought you value today, share it, clip it, post it to your socials. Curating and sharing helpful content makes you an expert, even if the content you're sharing isn't yours. Be a curator and share this content with your network. If you're an emerging or struggling photographer that's trying to break free from your current 9-to-5 grind and transition to the life of a working pro photographer, that's our obsession here at the Carty Method. Register, get the support you need. If you're alone and struggling at this craft, make sure you join the Carty Method community. You'll always find help in the show notes. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Find your creative and business genius with the Carty Method.